Hello everybody, this is Danny from Deep South Homestead. We are out in the Back to Eden garden this morning. Trying to get over my illness of what I had. It's been kind of a challenge, but you know, you got to keep going. And guys, I'm gonna just be honest with you. I did 48 feet a row here. I didn't film it because I had to do it with a hoe. It took an hour. I'm not used to this type of gardening. The Back to Eden, trying to rake back 6 inches of mulch just so I can get to the soil to put a bean in. To me, that's more work than I like doing. I'm used to taking my Hoss tools and just running through my other garden, and you know, in an hour I can do a whole garden. And here it took me an hour to hoe just back the bark, because there's no way if I put a bean down in this kind of thick, heavy mulch here with these big old chips of wood, there's no way that little tender bean's gonna push through that and make it. So I've got it all pulled back, and we're gonna be planting the beans here. And the thing in the deep south about heavy mulch keeping weeds away, guys, I'm not sure if that's actually accurate or not, because if you look on the other side of this fence, there is 6 inches of mulch over there, and it's completely covered with weeds. I'm even sitting on weeds here, behind me here. I pulled up, where did I put them at? Here they are. All the weeds here. I'm constantly pulling up weeds as I go along just to be able to get this row hoed out. I cleaned it up. I left that side so you could kind of see how heavy the weeds are. So actually being a weed-free issue here in the deep south, the heavy mulch and Back to Eden, that's, you know, it's a little bit of a myth here, because these weeds that have come up have a taproot that's like 10 inches long. And for somehow or other, they come up through it. They must not need the sunlight. I mean, I don't know. But there's still weeds everywhere. So the fact that it's going to be a weed-free garden, I can't say that that's going to be the fact. Now, will it hold moisture? Yes, because these wood chips have been in a pile for a year, and I'm not sure a year is enough, because I still got a lot of big old pieces of wood and stuff in this that hasn't decomposed, and it's made me do a lot of extra work having to pull it back to put the beans in. But it will hold the moisture. So hopefully during our hot, dry summers, it's going to, you know, hold us a lot more moisture in here. But there again, I'm so used to taking my Hoss tool with the oscillating hose on them and run down the rows and just cut the weeds off. And we get a lot of rain here anyway, so I very seldom ever have times where we just go into severe droughts. And guys, it's just so much easier for me to use a Hoss tool, because see, I can't come in here with a Hoss tool now and clean this up. That means I got to do this by hand. And I'm not condemning Back to Eden, because in some places in the country where it's cooler at, it probably works pretty good. But down here where it's real hot, you got to be careful, because you'll be moving along here, and then all these chips, next thing you know, there's ants all in them, fire ants, because they've built a bed up in this wood, because these chips, actually if you put your hand on the ground, where the chips are at, it's actually warm, and where you put your hand on the ground where there's no chips at, it's actually cool. Now if you're wanting to warm the soil up to get your seeds in early, then this is probably okay, especially for a more northern climate. And I hope the wind is not affecting too much, because the wind's blowing pretty hard. And you know, so I'm not condemning it for all areas. I'm just saying that where I live at here, this is mostly experimental. It doesn't keep the weeds out. It makes it more difficult for me to work, because I got to do everything by hand. I can't use any kind of equipment in here. So that's very time consuming. Now if you've got a small garden and this is all you've got, you know, it's okay. But we plant acres. We don't plant a plot. And for me to have to worry with this plot I can actually go on that hill back yonder and do an acre with my tractor and Hoss tool before I can do this plot by hand. And that's kind of what I'm talking about. Now what we're going to be planting here today is our rattlesnake beans, because we kind of designated this area right here for it. There's a 48-foot fence here. We had such good luck with just a few plants last year that we wanted to go back and do 48 feet of them, because what we're going to do is we're not going to do all the bush green beans this year. These things were fantastic green beans, and they bore on up into the heat of the summer. The regular green beans that's on the bush, the contenders that we usually plant, they die as soon as it gets hot here. So we want to be able to extend our bean season. We love the taste of the rattlesnake beans here. So that's what we're going to be doing. We'll actually have to go through and plant them by hand. I'm used to using my Hoss seeder, push it down the row. I do this right here in probably 3 or 4 minutes. This is going to probably take me 20 minutes to get down this row, to get them all in here and get them covered back up. So it's a time issue with us and a physical labor issue with us. So we're going to probably space these out. They're pole beans. I'm probably going to go about every 4 inches down through here. Get them in the ground. Because I like pole beans. I think they can be a little bit thicker than bush beans are, because they're going to be growing up on a trellis here, and they'll do just fine like that. Now I'm not going to put the bark back over them. I've got a little bit of dirt hoed up here. I'm going to take and put just the dirt over them, and once they get up into like the 2 or 4 leaf stage, then I'll come back and gradually start putting that bark back around them, because I want to make sure that they get out of that ground and get growing before they try to pop through the soil and have that crook on them break off, because they can't push a piece of wood or a piece of bark up. Because, I mean, literally, you can see the kind of big old pieces of wood here that's still in all this, and this has been composting for a year. So, I'm going to move on down through here, and I'll probably show you, when I get a little bit further down. I don't want to leave the video just sitting here running, because to me that's ridiculous. You sit here and just watch me stick a bean in the ground, and we'll show you a little bit more about it when we get through. Okay guys, we're here planting our beans in our Back to Eden garden, like down the road that we was showing you here, this long row on the fence here. I come back and get the camera back here. I'm going to show you, this is what we're talking about, what goes on in our Back to Eden garden. You see this right here? These are fire ants. Now they will more than likely, we're going to put our beans a little thicker here. More than likely, they will eat these beans up and we won't get anything right here. That's one of the things we tell y'all. When we try to do this Back to Eden garden, and I mean, they're on down the row. If I sit here and show you on down the row, if you just take and look, take your time, the ants are crawling all down through here. We're just hoping and praying that we can, we can make this happen with this Back to Eden gardening thing here. You can see the line of them as they go down through there. They're coming all down through this row here, and I'm in the light, I know, as I come backwards. You can see them. They're all there, crawling right along. This is what we're having to deal with, guys. Fire ants in the south and Back to Eden. I'm trying to stay out of the picture here, but you see our Back to Eden here? This is one that's cleaned up to the carrot bed right there on the other side of the thing, and look at this here. I'm gonna try to move slow. This is deep mulch and weeds. And this is the middle of March. Not even the middle, really. And I mean, guys, we just have weeds, weeds, weeds. So that's what I'm telling you. Back to Eden in the south, this stuff heats up and the weeds love it.
Okay, this log, you can see, doesn't look like there's much here. But if I move this, look at that. Look at the ants under that. You did not see anything but a log. But look what you're seeing. And the eggs and all that here. The same thing. You see, I see a few ants there. You see a log. Let me move some. Do you see what happens? You put your hand on this log and these things eat you alive. Down here, look at that. That's why you can't kill every ant here in the Deep South.
Okay guys, we've got all of our rattlesnakes beans planted now, and you see Wanda's still trying to get some weeds out of that. We are not going to put the bark back over them, like I said, till they get to the 2 or 3 leaf stage. We'll put the bark back around it then. We've got a lot of rain supposed to be coming in this coming week. We'd like to see the not have the bark packed all down in on top of it, so we're gonna let this go at this because we got another field to go take care of. We got sweet-potato draws to set out and the field to get ready, so we'll be covering that in another video. So thank y'all from Deep South Homestead.